whipping up all of your favorite recipes.
Simply Food.
You should know by now that you're in for a treat.
Simply Food.
There's no other channel where you'd rather be.
Simply Food.
Seafood, pasta, cakes, and pies. Sing and laugh and even cry. Like and share and hit subscribe. Simply Food by TY.
What's up, you guys? It's your boy Simply Food by TY, and I would like to welcome you guys to a new series I'm going to be doing called Absolutely or Absolutely Not, where I'm going to be trying out some of the recipes of some of my favorite celebrity chefs and YouTube chefs. And today we're starting off with key lime pie. Now, this key lime pie recipe comes from the Preppy Kitchen, where I'll be actually doing a lot of his pies because I'm obsessed with him. So I'll make sure that I also leave the original recipe down in the description box below so that you guys can check him out. Now, I'm going to be using an 8.8 ounce packet of Biscoff cookies. Now, of course, if you want, you can absolutely use graham crackers. That's totally fine. But these cookies have a little bit more of a refined taste to it, a little bit more flavor, and they're just absolutely divine. And trust me, you will be able to tell the difference between this and a graham cracker crust. Now that we got this kind of ground down to, I would say, about a sandy texture, what we're going to do now is add in about 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter. You want that melted. And as you start to incorporate it, and you will see that it will start to take on a darker color. You want to have your oven preheated at 350 degrees because you're going to be baking off this crust for about 10 minutes, okay? And then once that 10 minutes is up, you can go ahead and set it to the side and just allow that to start to cool off a bit before we start to add in the filling itself. Now, once again, this is a 9-inch deep dish baking pan here that I have. Now, for me, I really enjoy the crust aspect of a key lime pie. Honestly, really any pie, I kind of really enjoy the crust more than I actually really do the filling sometimes. But key lime pie is probably one of my favorite pies, and this recipe is absolutely divine. So what I'm doing now is I'm working my crust all the way up to the top of the edge. And, you know, really making sure that it was nice and matted down so that it bakes up beautifully. And like I said, you're going to put that in the oven, 350, 10 minutes, sit it to the side, let it cool off. Let's talk about these key limes. So as you can see, that one there is a nice, like, almost perfect looking key lime. And then you have these ones here that are a little bit more on the yellower side. I would suggest use as many of those ones to juice before you start to use the ones that look perfect. And the only reason why I say that is because the ones that are a little bit more on the yellow side are going to be a little bit more tart, which is really going to give you that extra tart key lime flavor. Now, of course, don't go stressing yourself out looking for yellow ones. You can absolutely use the green ones, but I like to save the perfect looking ones for when I go to get some of the zest. So that's the only reason why. Now, you're going to want to squeeze out about 3/4 of a cup of these key limes. Now, of course, you know, you can use regular lime juice if you have to, but I would suggest try to find key limes. But whatever you do, please do not use bottled key lime juice or bottled lime juice. It's just not the same. I promise you, it's just, it just isn't the same, you know. So I'm going to keep on working on getting these nice and juiced. Now, once again, I can't really tell you how many I used or how many you should use because honestly, they're not always going to be juicy. So as you can see, I have a giant bowl here because you don't want to run the risk of starting this and then you'll run out of them. So I always just make sure that I get a bunch of them. So that right there is prime real estate. That is liquid gold. Okay. So like I said, we're going to end up with about 3/4 of a cup, which I cannot believe that I actually got pretty much right on the dime, which is fabulous. So now that we have our beautiful key lime juice, we can go on ahead and sit that to the side because we have a few more things to get ready before we start to work on the filling. So now we're going to separate 3 egg yolks from the whites. In this recipe, we're only going to be using the egg yolks. If you want, you can save your egg whites for an omelet or, you know, whatever you want to do with it, but I'm not going to be using them. But just really make sure that you're only getting the egg yolks in. This is really going to help bind our key lime pie filling, as well as give it that extra creamy texture. We're also going to be using 3 of the key limes specifically for the zest itself. Now, this is why I said it's kind of important to reserve some of the ones that are like perfectly green, because I'm telling you, the flavor from them, the oils that are being released from them, especially even as you zest it, is absolutely everything, okay? So also just be kind of mindful, if you can find organic key limes, go for it. But whatever you do, just make sure that you guys are, thoroughly rinsing these off, because if you're going to be using the zest from something, that means you're using every part of it, in a sense of people have been touching it, it's been sitting in a bag, and you just want to make sure that it's nice and clean before you add it to your dish itself. So now we're going to go ahead and add in our 3 egg yolks to our stand mixer. You can do this with an electric mixer. That's totally fine. We're also going to add in the zest. We're going to give this a good mix for like a minute or so, just until, the fragrance of the lime has really worked its way through those egg yolks. And then we're going to add in 1.5 cans of sweetened condensed milk, okay? And you want to get every bit of that inside of this mixing bowl here, because that is going to be our sweetener. We're not going to be adding any actual sugar to this, because the sweetened condensed milk is going to do all of that work for us. And then you're going to go on ahead and give that a really, really good mix. And you're going to allow that to mix, I would say, for no more than a minute or so, just to really make sure that everything is thoroughly and fully incorporated. Make sure that you're scraping down the sides of the bowl, just so that you can make sure that you don't have anything clumping up on the bottom. And then as you do that, you can go ahead and start to add in your key lime juice. And just do that little by little so that you don't go making a giant mess, okay? Take my advice on that one, okay? So just add it in little by little. And then once you get all of the key lime juice in, really go on ahead and crank up the speed on your mixer and allow that to mix, I would say, for an additional minute or so. Making a key lime pie is extremely easy. It's not difficult to make at all. Honestly, the most time-consuming thing about it, for real, is probably juicing the key limes, So now that that's fully done, and we have our pie crust that's been nice and cooled, it's still slightly warm, which is good, because this is not going to be baking in the oven for that long, so keep that in mind. We're going to go ahead and pour in all of our mixture. And I don't know about you, but if you've taken the time to juice all of those key limes and to make a key lime pie, you are going to make sure that you scrape out every single bit of that filling, okay? Because that's exactly what I did. Once again, you're going to have your oven still on 350, and then we're going to put that in the oven for about 10 minutes, okay? Once that's done, you're going to put that on the counter and allow that to cool for 20 minutes on the counter, okay? Allow it to cool 20 minutes on the counter. Then you're going to wrap it up in saran wrap. Now, you could serve this, I would say, about 3 hours later after it's been refrigerated, but I always like to wait until the next day before I cut into it. That way I can make sure that it's completely formed and it is perfect and ready to go. I'm going to smooth off the top just a little bit. You don't want to be too rough because, of course, this crust is still slightly warm, so you don't want to risk breaking your crust, which is really important. You don't want the crust to get broken all inside of the pie. But yeah, so got that nice and smooth, put that in the oven, 350, 10 minutes, take it out, let it cool on the counter 20 minutes, put it in the fridge overnight, okay? Now that we've done that, we're going to move on to the next day, because you want to make your whipped cream on the day of so that it doesn't fall flat. We're going to add in 2 cups of heavy whipping cream. You're also going to add in 3 tablespoons of powdered sugar. Give that a good old whisk. You're also going to add in some vanilla extract. You guys know that I love the Nielsen Macy, so I use the vanilla bean. You want to get it to a nice stiff peak. As you can see, that's a little bit too light. So I'm going to whip that a little bit more. And then that's pretty much it. That doesn't really take much to make a whipped cream. But what I will say is make sure that you guys are keeping your eye on your whipped cream. If you allow it to over whip, it will curdle and it will look dreadful. It'll still taste fine, but it will not look good. So, when you're making whipped cream, that isn't something that you can kind of just walk away from, because trust me, it'll be problematic and you'll be very upset. So now I'm just piping it on. If you want, you didn't even have to pipe it like me. You could honestly just throw it all on there, just spread it across the top. I'm also going to, of course, add in some of that beautiful lemon zest from one of those perfectly green key limes and just serve it up. Look, you guys, this recipe is a TY approved recipe. Once again, I'm going to leave his original recipe down in the description box below. I'm really looking forward to this series and trying out some more of his recipes. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if so, give it a thumbs up, hit that bell to be notified, and subscribe to Simply Food by TY so that you guys can stay updated on all of the fabulous stuff to come. Y'all stay cute and take care. Bye.
Slaying in the kitchen.
Simply Food by TY.
We hope that you enjoyed it.
Simply Food by TY. If you haven't took the time, make sure you subscribe. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching Simply Food.